With this video, we're going to be talking about slope formula and how to calculate slope. In the last video, we talked about how to calculate slope when given the graph, and we used rise over run. Essentially, we're doing the same thing here, but now we're actually going to have a formula that we can use so that we don't have to necessarily see the graph or graph the line to be able to find the slope. We can just simply use 2 points. So the slope formula that we're going to use today is going to be called, we're still finding the changes in y's and the changes in x's, but the way we're going to do that is by taking y2 minus y1 and putting that over x2 minus x1. So if you remember when we did rate of change and we had our years, we had something like 1988 to 1990, and it was like going from 25 to 29. And these were our y's and these were our x's. We were finding the difference of the second one minus the first one. Second one minus the first one. So essentially we were doing the same thing. We were taking 29 minus 25 over 1990 minus 1988. So rate of change and slope are pretty much the exact same thing. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the second y minus the first y. We're going to find the differences between those, which is what we did here. And then we're going to have the second x minus the first x. So we're going to use that formula to be able to find slope when given points. So here's one of the points. If we, again, label this as our first x value and this our second x value, and then this one our first y value, and over here our second y value, we're going to use the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Again, that's what equals slope, and we use the letter m to represent slope. Our y2 was 2 minus our y1 was negative 2 over our x2 is negative 1 minus our x1 is 4. Now, if you use a calculator or if you just remember to keep change, 2 minus negative 2 is the same as 2 plus positive 2, which would give us 4 over negative 1 minus 4 would give us negative 5. So our slope would be 4 over negative 5, or negative 4/5. If we were to graph that and go over 4 down 2, so notice how I'm taking the first coordinate and I graph that, 4, negative 2. And then our second coordinate, negative 1, positive 2. And then we drew our line that went through it. We should be able to use our rise over run to get the exact same thing as our slope formula. So our slope formula gave us that we were going to have to go down 4 over 5, or negative 4/5. So if we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, which would be negative 4, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we see that even if we use the rise over run or if we use our slope formula, we get the exact same slope. Trying it again. Again, the first step is we want to label our x1, y1, and then x2, y2. And we use our slope formula. This time I'm not going to write out the slope formula. I'm trying to memorize it. And so essentially it's the differences in your y's over the differences in your x's. So we take the second y, which is negative 2, minus our first y, which is also negative 2. And then we get 7 minus negative 2 on the bottom. Because our x2 is 7, and our x1 is negative 2. We keep change these, and we end up getting 0 over 9. 0 divided by 9 is 0. In our last video, we did some examples of different styles of lines and their slopes. Any line that has a slope of 0, we know is going to be a horizontal line. Okay? The question is, where is that horizontal line going to be on this graph? It's going to be something that looks like this. It's just where is it going to be? Is it going to be up, down? But horizontal lines are the only lines that have zero slope. So if we graph this, we're going to go down 2, over 2, down 2, and then over 7, down 2. And so you can see that the horizontal line, I actually got it right, goes at x equals -2. Okay? Or excuse me, I think I said x. It should be y equals -2. Lastly, what happens if we're given a table? Well, you should be able to see that these are ordered pairs. Okay? We can rewrite these. Our x value is 2, our y value is 0. X value is 2, y value is 1, and then 2, 3, and then 2, 5. We now can use our slope formula. We have more than enough information here. In fact, we really only need one of them. And so, or one pair. And so if we look and just take this first pair, all we need is just 2 ordered pairs. This would be our x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have 1 minus 0 over 2 minus 2, which would give us 1 over 0. This is also a special slope. As we discussed in the last video, anytime 0 is on the bottom, if you type into your calculator 1 divided by 0, you should get error. Anytime there's a 0 on the bottom, we're going to call this an undefined slope. Not only is the slope undefined, but we also know that because it's undefined, it has to be a vertical line. Okay. So that ends our video on the slope formula. Remember, always the differences in y's over the differences in x's.